What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with part 2 of the Hakes auctions, lot 236. Lots of beautiful items that ended on Wednesday here in the U.S. and just, wow, just some incredible items I'm going to cover today, mainly focused on Empire Strikes Back. And as you can see in this thumbnail, we've got some graded vehicles. We've got a Boba Fett figure. I think we've got two in this lot I'm going to cover. We got a proof card for the Empire Strikes Back 45 back Luke Bespin, and we've got the extremely rare vacuum sealed Canadian market only kind of, I think there were Sears exclusives, Han Solo. And these are the types of items that you never see anywhere. And, the prices reflected that for a lot of these items. But there were some excellent deals on some of the more common items from the Empire Strikes Back line of figures. So without further ado, let's dig right in. And the first one is going to be that proof card. This was an AFA 90 45 back proof card for Luke Bespin. Just an absolute gem of an item. And I actually thought that price was kind of really reasonable. I thought the value code was probably more in line with market. Hakes estimated the final value to be between $5,000 and $10,000, and the winning bid after the 18% buyer's premium that Hakes charges to all the winning bids was $3,894. I was kind of expecting between $5,000 and $6,000 for this item, so I thought that price was actually pretty good. And all the prices I'm going to quote today, just like the video yesterday, are going to be after the 18% buyer's premium, but before the shipping costs. So again, AFA 90 45 back ESB Luke Bespin proof card for $38.94. I mean, to me, I don't know where else you could find that for that kind of price. I mean, even on Facebook, I don't expect a seller to let it go for that price, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I certainly don't know a lot about early proof cards like this, but to me, that seems like a pretty good buy relative to where the estimates were. Next up was an AFA 80 21 back Death Star droid, and of course this is a transition card. It has the free secret Star Wars action figure, and only the first 21 figures were available on this card back, this specific card back. For the mail away, Bosk was the secret Star Wars action figure, and this is one I'd love to add in my collection. I targeted this one. I was like, I really would like to buy that, but I'm just being really careful with my money right now. I just don't feel like it's appropriate for me to be buying plastic dolls for these kinds of prices. But this is one I expected to kind of go $1,200-ish, and it sold for $934 and change, which I thought was pretty great. I mean, the value code on it was $700 to $1,000. I thought that value code was a little low, but they ended up being right, and I was wrong on this one. I really thought this one would go $1,200 plus. And it was punched, so that probably held the price back a little bit. But we documented one on eBay that went for more than this price, and I thought that this was a very fair price. On the other end of the spectrum was this one. This one was a 21 back R5D4 AFA 80, same card back, the 21 back. And, the value code they had was $1,000 to $2,000. I was kind of expecting the same kind of price point, maybe $1,000 to $1,200. It blew right past that number. The final sales price was $1,558 and change. So again, it's pretty difficult to find those transition cards. They just didn't produce them in big numbers. And when they do become available, they tend to command big money. And I remember specifically one of these that was at auction on eBay earlier this year that sold for over $1,500. So, to me, this price was kind of right in line with that. It's not a price that I'd be willing to pay. I'd much rather, in my personal opinion, I'd much rather have an early 20 back or something like that. But these transition cards, you just got to be willing to pay up for it. Next up was a 31 back AFA 80 Han Solo. And this was, I thought, a steal of a deal. It sold for $778, which is at the very low end of the value code range. I thought that price was fantastic. Anything clear blister, Empire Strikes Back, or Star Wars Han Solo, to me, if you can get it for sub $1,000, I think that's a great price. And $778 for that item, I would have paid that all day long. Now, what probably held it back a little bit was the bubble or blister score of 75. It seems like Hakes attracts like the big money guys, and they tend to like to have 80s and 85s, and for all the sub scores. So that probably held it back just a little bit. And but to me, for an overall 80 31 back early ESB card back for Han Solo, one of the first 12 figures, for $778 after the buyer's premium, I would have paid that all day long. Next up was a 32 back A Boba Fett AFA 85. What a beautiful item. And this one finished kind of right in the middle of the value code. It sold for $8,566, but it's an AFA 85 and it's Boba Fett. It's unpunched with no price sticker. You're going to pay big money for it. And, probably like 21 back, you're probably more like what, $15,000 to $18,000. So this is kind of a nice alternative. Get a little bit later card back on the ESB card. Which I think is better anyway. I just think it kind of matches Boba Fett, having him on an ESP card back in an AFA 85. I mean, $8,500 and change is probably about market, and I think a very fair price if I had that kind of money to play with. Next up was a 32 back B Bosk. I was curious to see what this one would sell for. They had the value code at $2,000 to $5,000. It was an AFA 85, admittedly. To me, this is one I'd love to have. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to have this one. It's kind of the de facto, debut card. There are some 31 backs out there, but they are very rare. I mean, less than 10, I think, are known to exist, or fewer than that even probably. And to get it, the 32 back B is really kind of like the de facto debut card for Boss, just because the 31 backs are so hard to find. And they had the value code at $2,000 to $5,000. I thought that value code was too high. I was thinking between $1,000 and $2,000. But again, Hakes was right and I was wrong. It sold for $2,336 and change. Is that fair? Probably. We documented one that sold earlier this year at Hakes that was also an AFA 85, same card back, that sold for over $4,000. So this is well off of those highs. You're getting it for, let's call it 40 to 45% less, and maybe what some people consider to be a down market. So to me, if you got the money and you want a high grade, you're going to pay big money for it. Now, what do I think an AFA 80 would sell for? I think between $1,200 and $1,500 max. And so you are paying up. You're paying a big premium to go from an 80 to an 85, but it's primo. This is an incredible item. I know who bought that. I don't want to spoil it, but congratulations to the buyer. He's a good friend of mine, and I'm glad he was able to pick that up. But an absolute stunner. Next up was a 41 back A Luke Skywalker, also AFA 85. This one is this free survival kit offer. There were a number of different 41 back A's that sold at this auction. The value code was $2,000 to $5,000. It sold for $2,855. $2,855. To me, that's probably about in line with market for an AFA 85 Luke Farm Boy anything. It's a gorgeous example and probably pretty much fair market value. This I thought was a steal of a deal. I know who was thinking about bidding on this, and I hope he was able to win this because I thought this price was fantastic. This was an AFA 80 plus 41 back E offerless AT-AT driver. This was a gorgeous example, and I didn't know what it would sell for. I was thinking closer to the upper end of the value code. I was thinking $900 to $1,000. It sold for $713. $713 after the buyer's premium. I would have paid that all day long. I thought that was a great pickup, whoever got it, and I hope it was my buddy who got it. Next up was a 41 back A Sand People, AFA 80. Now, this one, again, did have a 75 subscore, and this is something I've talked about, that, when they have those 75s for the subscores, even if it's an overall 80, that tends to keep the price down. Now, the value code was $400 to $700. I thought that was too low of a price point, but, Hakes seems to know what they're doing, and I don't, because it came in right below the upper end of that range at $681 for an unpunched, beautiful 41 back A Sand People. I thought that was worth every penny of that price. Next up was another 41 back A Hammerhead, AFA 80 plus, and this one sold for $713.90. I mean, that's a bargain. These prices are bargains, in my opinion. If you can get some of these early ESBs, these 41 backs and 40 backs, things like that, 31 backs, sub $800, $900, that's kind of market right now. And I think that was a very fair price. Here was a gorgeous 45 back Star Wars display arena Luke Farm Boy, but brown hair. And this looks to be almost like the dark brown hair, but it's just the regular Hong Kong regular brown hair, not the dark brown hair. And it was an AFA 75. That one sold for $1,622, it blew well past the value code, which I knew was low. They had a value code of $700 to $1,000. I was thinking, no way it stays that low. And I was thinking $1,500, but even that kind of optimistic estimate probably was too low. But $1,622 is probably about right for a brown-haired Luke on an ESP card back. Next up was a 45 back R2-D2 sensor scope, AFA 80 with a price sticker unpunched. The value code on that one, again, I thought was too low. I was still thinking probably $1,100, maybe $1,200-ish. It sold for $1,427. So For a lot of these ESB card backs, it was hit or miss. It was just hit or miss as to what the final sales prices would be. And, it seems like the mains, like the Lukes and the Hans, even that Han, that 31 back Han was a good deal. R2D2s, anything R2D2 just seems to be really expensive. So hit or miss on the ESBs for the most part. This one really surprised me on the upper end of the range. This one was a 45 back 2-1B with the Star Wars display arena. It was an AFA 85, admittedly. Now I've got a CAS 75 Plus that I paid $370 for before grading. So I was expecting kind of 800-ish. That was kind of my number in my mind. It sold for $1,714. That seems insane to me. I mean, again, it's an AFA 85. I know that, but maybe on the upper end, $1,000 or $1,100, but $1,700 just seems incredibly high to me for that item. But again, AFA 85s are going to attract the upper echelon of collectors that only collect 85s for mint on card. Those kind of collectors, they can afford to pay the premium to go from an 80 to an 85. So take that for what you will. But to me, I would never pay anywhere close to that number. Brett on Fett was bidding on this, and he shared this with me. And I was like, look, man, AFA 85s at Hakes, good luck. All right, you got to pay up for them. I think the strategy, as I've talked about, aim for AFA 80s for common items at Hakes because they're always overlooked. And I think you can find some good deals there. But that one just went way too high for me. Now, on the other end of the scale, here was another 85 archival case 45 back Sand People. Now, it's a very common card bag. There's a lot of these Sand People on the 45 backs, admittedly. But it's an AFA 85. It sold for $694. I mean, that is an absolute bargain for an AFA 85 45 back. So, again, even this one fell under the radar. And again, it's because this is a very readily common combination. The Sand People on the 45 back, they were printed in pretty heavy numbers for whatever reason. But that was a steal of a price in my mind. Here was an AFA 85 plus 45 back Jawa. That one sold for $1,557. So right in the middle of the value code by Hakes of $1,000 to $2,000. Again, it's not a number I'd pay, but it's an 85 plus on a 1981 card back. You're going to be paying big money for it, but a beautiful item. Next up was a 47 back R2D2 sensor scope, AFA 80. It was punched with the price sticker, so that probably held the price down a little bit, but that came in at $908 and change. I thought that was a very fair price and below even the low end of the value code. I would have paid that. I would have paid that all day long for a really nice looking free 4-line offer 47 back R2. Here was a 47 back Boba Fett. It was only an AFA 75 only, but that really kept the price way down. But I'm surprised it came in as low as it did. The value code of $5,000 to $10,000. I was thinking kind of $4,500 maybe on the upper end. It sold for $2,360. $2,360 for an ESB card back. Now, I think the main reason why I got the 75 is it had that big $1.79 printed or written on the card back. And, that held the score down because, they're going to ding you for that. And is also going to be kind of an aesthetic detractor, so to speak, with the high-end collectors. So they're not willing to pay up for it. But if you're a bargain hunter and bargain hunter being relative term here on a $2,300 item, and you want a mint on card ESB Boba Fett, this was a great price. Just a fantastic buy in my mind. Next up, we had an AFA 85 47 back free 4-line offer IG 88. Unpunched, no price sticker. Now that came in at $1,200, and I thought that value code was way too low. $700 to $1,000 was the value range that Hakes assigned. I knew it would hit over $1,000. There's no question in my mind. IG88 on a clear blister, AFA 85 ESB card back. You're going to pay big money for it. So I think $1,200 was more in line with market and very fair for that item. Next up was a 48A Sand People AFA 80, and again, $478. $478 for that was a bargain price. I mean, there are Return of the Jedi card backs that are yellowed that sell on eBay for that price. So this was a great buy, and again, use that strategy moving forward with Hakes auctions. If you are not deep pocketed like me, if you don't have the big money, you can target some of these more common items that are AFA 80s and get some fantastic deals. So this was a great buy, whoever picked that up for $478. It's worth more than that to me all day long. All right, here we got to talk about this one. So here is the Kenner Canada Sears exclusive. So it was a Sears exclusive. Now this is the vacuum sealed kind of plain cardboard backing, but this is what it looks like inside the blister. And there were only a few of these, few characters where they made for this figure. They made Lobot, Ugnaught, Han Bespin, and I'm forgetting somebody else. I can't remember who it was. Maybe Lando or something like that. I can't remember. Oh, the AT-AT commander. That's who it was. General Veers. This was a qualified 70 because, again, it's kind of like a unique overstock type of item that Sears put out on this vacuum form card. Now, the value code was $5,000 to $10,000. It sold for $6,800. Yes, I mean, I think that's probably worth that given what I see some of these ungraded go for on Facebook. So a truly grail item, and there are collectors that focus on these, and what a beauty. Just an incredible item. Next up, we're going to finish the video off with some vehicles. Now, this one was a AFA qualified Millennium Falcon on the ESP Bespin box, and this one had the rebate offer. So the qualified meaning that it was unused content, so it's no longer factory sealed, but this has a $1 rebate sticker on there, and we're going to cover one in a second that's factory sealed that did not have that rebate sticker. But qualified 80, and the value code was $2,000 to $5,000. It sold for $2,900. That's probably very fair. I mean, just the Return of the Jedi version of the Millennium Falcon could go for $2,000 to $2,500 mint in sealed box. So I think to get the ESB for $2,900 was very fair and a gorgeous item. And then here's the other one that sold. Same box. It just didn't have the rebate sticker. And this one was a factory sealed AFA 80, so not qualified. This is actually truly factory sealed. The value code on that was $5,000 to $10,000, and that one sold for $8,100 and change. So you can see going from a unused contents open box for $2,920 for a mint and sealed box example, and you got to pay 2.5 times that. So pretty incredible to see both of those sell. And then finally, we had a mint and sealed box AFA 80 Rebel Transport. Gorgeous item, awfully big. I mean, this is a big item. I would never have room for something like this, but awfully gorgeous. And that one sold for $2,700 and $2,725, and the value code on that was $2,000 to $5,000. So it came in towards the lower end of that range, but another truly incredible item. So that's all I really had for this video. We're going to have part 3 covering revenge proofs. A lot of Return of the Jedi items. I think we've even got a few Power of the Force items, Last 17, stuff like that we'll cover in tomorrow's video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back soon.